Welcome, everybody, to this edition of In the Know with Kat Bobineau. Today, my guest is Jeremy Johnson, and we're going to be talking to him about working in technology and engineering. Welcome, Jeremy, to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. So, could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so I am a systems engineer. I work in primarily tech operations, and it doesn't matter if it's pretty much any industry. Tech ops is a part of most companies. So my main job is to architect and build systems for companies at any scale, large or all the way down to small. Right now, I'm dealing with large enterprise scale systems, uh, where it goes from anywhere from network and internet connectivity, telecommunications, various applications. Also, I deal with large scale um, computing systems. For instance, we are a medical research um, facility for Kaiser, and we look at genes. So we have these extremely large supercomputers that we scale out that will do gene sequences. So I'm building out those solutions, and that's it in a nutshell.
Well, that's kind of a lot that you just said. So, let's kind of break it down. So, what exactly in tech do you do at Kaiser?
Right now at Kaiser, I am the principal architect that is working on a project that is moving a lot of these smaller departments' infrastructure into Kaiser's national data centers. So Kaiser is taking a really strong step in making sure that all of their systems are housed in properly certified data centers where there's different tiers, like tier 1 through 4. Kaiser has a state of the art data center model, uh, tier 4. And what that does is it ensures more .999s of availability. Like if something were to happen, any type of catastrophic event that can cause systems to go offline. So I'm moving environments, the Division of Research being one of them, into their national data center. So that scope covers a lot of different technologies, even more than what I explained earlier. So,
Oh, wow.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's take a step away from that because it's still a mouthful. And I'm not sure everyone who watches this will fully understand what you're saying. So,
Mm-hmm.
to be an architect in technology, what does that mean?
Well, you have to essentially pick um, a particular type of technology that you want to focus on. And, like, for instance, a lot of the core technologies is networking. That's communication between devices around the world. Even the way your computer right now is connecting to various applications in this building. You know, network connectivity is the heart and soul of how people can transmit information back and forth. Also, data warehousing. This is the age of information, so people are constantly creating data at a rate that people are still discovering or trying to discover how they can actually house and maintain the amount of data that's growing.
Is that where the cloud comes in?
That's where the cloud comes in. So um, when you build networks, it's like any type of solution. People tell you what type of environment that they want to have based on who they need to talk to. If I break it down to where you have one central office and it has, say, 20 sites that are off-site, and all of the branches need to talk to each other. All the branches run applications that need to have a certain amount of performance from a network connectivity standpoint. So you're the person that figures out all the metrics and the type of devices that can handle all the workloads to ensure the users that they have the best possible experience through that particular technology, which is connectivity.
So, when you say that,
Mm-hmm.
let's say Kaiser, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Kaiser has multiple hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all these different components that's all using the same network and they're all talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that all that information that they're having, you have to find somewhere to house it and you have to make sure that they're able to talk back and forth. All the
Mm-hmm.
hospitals are able to connect with each other, right?
Correct. And you also have to account for any points of failure and remediate them with certain levels of redundancies and fallbacks at a level that will be as non-disruptive to the users as possible. So we have multiple data centers that are geo uh, location specific. So if for some reason people were currently connected to a site, say in New Hampshire, and that went offline, they will reconnect back to another site, say Colorado or Texas or California, wherever we have sites. So,
Okay. So with that being said, that sounds like a lot of work every day
mm-hmm.
that you're having to work with. What made you want to get into that type of field?
Well, when I first went to school, I came in as a computer scientist. I studied computer science, and I learned various different programming languages. I learned the theories and concept of just coding in general, but that wasn't enough for me. Just sitting down and writing code. I wanted to do more work with technology that dealt with um, dealing with people and dealing with different teams of people to bring together like more of like a full stack of solutions versus just being in one spot, writing software from one particular piece of a giant application or program. So I was essentially bored with that, and then I was also really into like electrical computer engineering from a hardware standpoint. But by the time I came out of school, information technology started to really explode. Like a lot of people had a lot of needs for getting the proper technology into their businesses, but they didn't know how to approach it. They didn't know how to make technology make their businesses work as a tool for success. A lot of people used to think technology was more of a burden in the past, but they started to train people more and more in how to be um, uh, partners with businesses through technology versus the stigmatism of a necessary evil, like a utility that they're stuck with for however amount of
However
time.
long.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So you went to school and you did computer science
Mm-hmm.
first,
Mm-hmm.
but then you kind of transferred into the engineering part of
Mm-hmm.
computer science and making sure systems work
Mm-hmm.
back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a reason that you decided to go into that? Like, did something push you into that way, or just something you noticed happening in the world and you're like, well, I'm gonna jump on that train?
Well, it was pretty much my immediate circle started with my dad. My father is a mechanical engineer. He went to Virginia Tech. Ever since I was little, he would teach me the concepts of engineering, building, breaking down things, paying attention to detail, always looking at things from a approach of knowing exactly how things work, and always taking metrics and it's being able to properly measure things to optimize it. So, engineering is about innovating, always looking at something and figuring out how to make it better, making solutions, improving solutions, and that was just basically his whole approach for me to get into engineering. But when I first really got into computers, my father came to me, which was the seventh grade, and he put a computer on my desk. It was like an old Tandy sensation. And at first, I was like, okay, here's a computer. Okay, I
What am I supposed to do with
play
this?
around with
Yeah.
it. But
Did you play Oregon Trail?
yeah, we
Okay.
did all that, like Oregon Trail, Where in the World is Carmen San Diego,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my friends from high school, he already had like a leg up on me. He came over to my house one day and he's like, "Oh man, you have a computer? Holy crap, man! It's like check out all this stuff that you can do with it." And then like we took it apart and put it back together, and then that's when like that world exploded for me. So
Right.
like his father was also an engineer, and back in those days, like a lot of people didn't know how to build computers. They wanted personal desktops or
Mm-hmm.
personal PCs, but they didn't have like Dells and HPs back then. Like they
Right.
had to find somebody to know how to do that stuff. So we got into like building computers for people. We got into figuring out the proper hardware people needed to run certain applications. Because like computers with software, that is real specific to like the requirements they need. It was just basically foreign to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then even on top of that, his father took it another level where we would make circuit boards and
You made
stuff.
circuit boards in the
Yeah,
seventh grade.
yeah. This was all like in middle school. Like kids are
Wow.
doing it even earlier these
Yeah,
days.
nowadays but it's like a 5-year-old can teach me something about a
Yeah,
computer, I'm sure. But
yeah.
learning circuit boards at that time in the seventh grade,
Hmm.
how did that impact your world as a middle schooler and then on to high school? Like, were you one of those people who were all about the computer? Did you have a social life? Would you play sports? How did that all
I
tie
was more
together?
of like a jack of all trades. Like my passion was my world in tech. I had a certain circle of friends where we all did that. It was really small, and I was kind of like the odd man out. But I did get into social activities. I played sports all through high school. I was a part of clubs. But like at the end of the day, I couldn't wait to get home and try to figure out something else about what was being pushed down the down the pipe from a technology standpoint. I think when I was in the seventh grade, that was right when the internet came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So like at first, everybody was just like, okay, what
The
do we do?
dial up
Yeah, it was
internet.
dial up. We had like a text based interface where we can search for stuff, and like for a lot of kids, it was just boring,
Mm-hmm.
extremely boring. Like they weren't enthusiastic about it at all. It wasn't until um, websites and being able to socialize via chat rooms and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And while people were doing that, like my group was the kids who were like, man, I want to learn how to make websites. So we were making websites. We learned HTML. We were
So, what was one
being
of your first websites?
one of my first websites. Um, it was actually a website where I published maps that I was making for a very famous game back in the day called Quake. So I used to design levels for it.
Really?
Yeah, and
As
then
like a teenager, you designed levels
yeah,
for it?
yeah.
Okay.
So like I was really into like multiplayer online gaming was like my favorite pastime. I was doing it before like that stuff came out on Xbox
Right.
and PlayStation. Like the connectivity. That's what I was talking about from a networking standpoint. Like it was so new to people. People could never imagine I'm sitting at home and I'm playing something with dozens or even more people from across the world, and like, how does this work? So when I was playing that, um, I took it to the next level, and I like playing this a lot of different multiplayer modifications for it. They call mods, um, and I started making levels and designing levels, and I used to run groups that we would made it competitive like sports. So we would play. It was crazy because I would play like online games like sports, and I would play real sports, and then like they would conflict. Like I came home from football practice one day, and the people online were getting on to me about
About not being there?
missing their practice. I was
Yeah.
like, "What's going on?" But
So
yeah.
football practice versus what kind of not virtual reality, but like
Hmm.
um, what did you call it? Connectivity or
Well, it's
network
just
gaming?
online gaming. It's
Online
actually a
gaming.
big thing now where like a lot of people play competitively. They give scholarships to play online games now at
Really?
universities. Yeah,
What kind of games do you play to have to play to get like a scholarship?
they call them MOBAs. It's like these. It's hard to explain because I don't play them, but it's like
You
ga-
sure? You sure you don't play them?
no, I haven't. To be honest, I'm like game. I haven't played games in so long. Like my whole world and what I'm doing now, with work and just being like new to the Bay Area is like absorbing like every every aspect of my time. So Yeah, it's basically competitive games. Uh, Something that has to do with you beating someone else.
Mm-hmm. I've
You know,
seen
so
I've seen videos of like
hmm
competitive gaming, and they're serious.
yeah.
They are serious about those games, and
hmm
I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
was never good at games. I was
hmm
never good at video games. I only played them because everyone else played them, but
hmm
I don't think anyone ever wanted to actually play with me because they were like, "You kind of suck at playing
Yeah.
these games."
Yeah, they're pretty sad. Like, and you deal with like alter egos on the internet because people are like behind this black cloud. You don't know who
Right.
I am, so I can just say whatever I want.
Oh, we
And
don't
say,
even get started on like internet trolls and people who
yeah.
hide behind these. Yeah, that's a
hmm
whole nother program. But
hmm
yes. So actually, what you're doing is, or when you were a kid, you were building these games and you were building levels, and then that
hmm
also helped you when you went to college and figuring out what you wanted to do.
hmm
By the way, what school did you go to?
I went to Middle Tennessee, like MT. Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually one of my high school classmates and classmates at Middle Tennessee. He's a software engineer at Credit Karma out here.
Oh,
hmm
okay.
And
So
so we got some MT people out here. Not everybody comes from the U of I or Berkeley and stuff like that. So yeah.
there's some MT people here in
hmm
the Bay Area that's
hmm
infiltrated us and wearing our Oakland shirts and pretending like they're from here.
Yeah. hmm
That is all good. We welcome you. So
Thank you.
thank you for coming in. But back to this elaborate work that you're doing at Kaiser and
hmm
how you got into it. I mean, it seems like you kind of had a linear pathway from middle school to college to your career. Did you ever have anything that kind of threw you off course at any point? Or was this always, I really like computers, I'm going to be working with computers, this is it?
There was one moment, I think it was like my junior year in college, where I feel like I got kind of burnt out on it. So I picked up another major and I started studying psych. And because I like dealing with people, I like understanding how people think. And that was a good um, component to what I was doing with CS because it's totally different. Like it fed another part of me that I wanted to know. And once I got into that and I finally finished school, in the tech industry was so hungry for people. It was just hard not to, and it's from a financial standpoint, it was like,
Yeah. From psych to working in
yeah.
computers? Yeah.
So yeah, and you know my CS background, like even with the systems that I design now, I do back end development. So I write code that like automate a lot of the systems that I work with, especially large scale. Like if you can't at least script or code a lot of routine functions, it's hard to properly manage environments that service tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of more people. You
Right.
know, so
So basically, if
mm,
you don't know code, if you can't write a simple code, it's hard to maintain an infrastructure like Kaiser, who's dealing with patients and
mm,
doctors and nurses and everyone else who's
mm,
using their programs.
mm.
So if having a computer science background is what you need for something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you necessarily need it, but it's definitely a plus. I mean, a lot of companies will even put that on there as like a huge plus because all the concepts of it, it really helps you learn how to, for one, like reverse engineer a lot of things that you come across because you understand how software works, especially if you're one that used to write it. And scripting as well. Like if you want to actually grow, if getting into large enterprise is something that you're really looking at, like being incredibly good at scripting
Mm-hmm.
is a must. So like if people see that on their applications, like a scripter, scripting, like if you're dealing with Python, is a huge one, or being able to use APIs to plug in to cloud services from on-premise services. You got to know that stuff nowadays.
Do you think that's something um, students and even adults
Mm,
can learn with these programs that are not college based? Like the 6-week schools that's teaching coding and teaching these like simple stuff like that. Well, I'm not gonna call it simple because I don't know how simple it is, but
Mm-hmm.
you know these 6 to 12 week programs that's teaching you coding and offering people jobs right out of that. Like, how does that compare to like going to college and getting your degree
Mm-hmm.
in computer science?
I think the biggest difference from the boot camps versus going to college, college teaches you how to be an engineer, how to think like an engineer, how to approach problems, and then teaching you how to actually write code and develop software comes after that. If you actually go straight into coding, is more or less learning just how to do that, but the way to approach it, the way to say, I have a guy or a woman who's writing something, and their whole objective is to make a working product. But with an engineering background, your objective is to make a pristine product. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you looked at every angle, you looked at ways that simplify how it is to create it, manage it, and how it can run effectively without or by mitigating as many issues that could possibly come up. Like, you know, how to figure out how to get from A to B versus go from A to C to Z to D, then back to B. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the mindset. So college helps you, just like I was talking about my father teaching me growing up, like how to think like an engineer, you know. So that's, so you have a more polished um, approach to problem solving.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had this opportunity going into being an engineer in computer science and um, taking what you've learned from school and getting a great career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk now, switch gears to what you do outside of work. So, what are some of your hobbies that you do outside of work?
Can you not tell?
Okay. For
No.
those who can't tell, you want to let us know what you do?
So one of the things that I've done is really get into fitness. Well, I've always been an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that always came with being an athlete was staying in good shape. But I like staying in shape because I like being able to do certain types of activities that require that level of shape, like doing Tough
Oh,
Mudders
yeah.
or Spartan races or
Mm-hmm.
any type of team-based challenges that really puts your strength and conditioning to the test. A lot of people here really helps that because the Bay Area is so active. I'm meeting people left and right where it's tons of things I would have never even thought of that we can do, like play underwater hockey, which I'm still trying to get in
There's
shape to.
underwater hockey out
Yeah,
there?
it's
See, I'm
San
born and raised
Francisco.
here and I don't even know. I don't
It's
even...
underwater hockey. I played it in Bayview at I think an MLK indoor pool, and they have it there like on Thursday nights. And they actually it's big. They had like international tournaments and stuff
Oh,
like that.
my.
And I came there thinking that I was all in shape, and then I had like 15-year-olds like swimming around me in circles. So it's a lot of work to do getting there. But another thing I like doing is using my skill set to kind of help people who want to get into that industry. Um, uh, uh, One of the things that I just came across through fitness, playing like ultimate frisbee with a group, it's a group of coders. Um, I just met them, so I can't remember the program, but the program's designed to for people to volunteer to teach inmates in San Quentin how to code.
Okay.
So they go there on Wednesdays, and there's these classes where they teach people various concepts. There's or straight like into a certain tool to learn how to code. They also to do stuff that I'm doing. That's why I'm getting into it. It's infrastructure type of work. So I'm actually supposed to start volunteering with the group to create a infrastructure to allow a lot more of the people there that are wanting to code to have like systems to get into to actually do their projects on. So
So are you taking like, well, I don't know what you would do with that type of program. Are you just showing them a simple infrastructure through computers they already have, or are you taking some kind of equipment there for them to practice on?
well, the equipment, from my knowledge, has been donated. and
Okay.
the other engineers that are there that don't necessarily deal with that type on the technology side of things are asking people like me to come in and help them put it all together. So,
Okay. So, fitness
mm-hmm.
and volunteerism, which are very
Volunteerism.
good. Is
Mm-hmm.
there anything else you do outside? I know you said the Bay Area is chock full of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm. Travel.
even yeah.
Travel. I like. If I weren't who I am now, I would probably be like this nomadic person that just traveled the world on my
Yeah.
own, or whatever. I like community service. I'm a part of a fraternity where community service and scholarship is a
Feel
big.
free to rep your fraternity
Oh,
if you
yeah,
feel.
Phi Beta Sigma Incorporated. There we go.
Okay.
A lot of my brothers are in the tech industry, um, specifically from my chapter, and that's another thing that I love being able to do is help. And it doesn't even have to be a bruh. Anybody who wants to learn this stuff, if I have any knowledge of it, any experiences that I can give to them to kind of help build that bridge, I'm all for
Wow, I wouldn't mind learning coding and
it.
computer science. I don't want to go back to school for it. I have 2 degrees in biology. I have
No, okay.
no desire for another degree.
I
But,
hear that.
I wouldn't mind learning some
Mhm.
bits of coding.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
what's up with that?
Holler at me.
Okay.
There's tools that you can use that makes it real easy. There's a lot of programs that help bridge that gap where it just teaches you like the concepts of it, and then we can start taking deep dives if you want to take it further.
I'm down with that.
Okay.
So, do you, would you be willing to like offer students the opportunity to learn this type of stuff, like volunteering with maybe a nonprofit or volunteering just even your time at a school to teach kids to about coding and computer science?
Mhm.
Okay, well, you guys heard it.
Mhm.
You can hit him up. If you want to learn more about Jeremy, you can always email me and I can forward that information to Jeremy since you offered. And what would you like to tell the audience, especially kids who might be interested in going into engineering or tech and computer science? What would you tell them about, or not say that, but what would you offer as a advice for them?
One of the big things would say is once you get into it, um, it's it's not easy, but if you have a genuine interest in problem solving and solution enabling, then that's all you'll need to pretty much carry you through it. I mean, it's like anything. Once you learn it, the rewards are I can't even explain it. The
They're
rewards,
endless.
they're endless. And then, especially for people who are like minority, if you feel like you're kind of on the island, there's resources out there to help you. Um, we're aware of it. I'm a part of groups that kind of help build that family for minority engineers to you know get through it. That's one of the things that is I believe an issue across the board in academia where people go to institutions and they kind of feel like they've just been shoved in there without any direction, and everyone else seems to already know what to do. Like it's
Right.
they got a script. Okay, this is what college is. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be too proud to step out on a limb to get any kind of help. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. This has been a great show. This is our time. So, if you have any questions about being in computer science or doing any type of back architectural work that Jeremy is doing, you can always hit me up and I'll send that information to Jeremy. And I'm sure he'll answer it for the audience. So, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. And until next time.